Live. All righty. So we are going to allow some people to get on. Wait a few minutes. Wait like a minute as
Okay.
people start to trickle in.
Okay.
So let's see. You good?
Mhm.
Okay.
I got my little one next to me.
Okay. That's okay. All right. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Great to see y'all on this Sunday morning. Thank you for joining us. So, if you don't know who I am Charisma. Charisma Cares Travels. And basically, what I do is I travel the world with my son, who happens to have a disability. So his disability is a rare, a rare disorder, KIF1A, and I mentioned that today because Tuesday is Rare Diseases Day. So it's where we celebrate other people, people all around that have these rare diseases. What just happened? Hold on.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. I don't know how that just happened. Sorry. So we celebrate people with rare diseases all over. A lot of times, rare diseases do not have cures, they just have treatment because big pharma is not giving us a lot of money because it's not enough people in their eyes that are affected by it. So we have to take time to celebrate these rare diseases. That's our story. I make my money through real estate investing and helping other women just like you invest in real estate. So if that's something that you're interested in, check the link below. If you like this particular video, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. So today I have Ebony. Ebony is a solo mom. I got rid of the word single mom. I don't like that. I saw somebody write solo mom, and that's become my
Okay.
new thing. She is
That's
solo mom, just like me, and she is living in Merida, Mexico, with her daughter, who also has a rare disorder as well. Hold on, make sure my phones are do not disturb. So her daughter also has a rare disorder as well.
mhm.
She basically picked up and left the U.S. Um, to live a better life and hopefully, not just a better quality of life, but a better life from the medical standpoint. So, Ebony, tell everybody hi.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Happy Sunday. Happy, just happy February 26th.
Right. So, good morning, lovely one. Good morning, sunshine. Good morning to everybody. So, I want to kick this off by just you telling us a little bit about you, Ebony,
Mhm.
and then kind of telling us about your daughter and her diagnosis and everything.
Okay. Well, my name is Ebony. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. When my mother passed, my sister and I, we packed up and we went to Virginia. Stayed in Virginia for a couple of years, ended up going to Texas. Didn't like Texas, but that's where my daughter was born. After leaving Texas, we packed up again and went to back to Virginia. I guess Virginia was our first love, away from home. It was like home away from home. And Virginia wasn't hitting it. It was just we was just stagnant. We was just sitting, doing nothing. Couldn't get a job. My daughter, that's when she got sick. It was just a lot going on. So then that's when my sister and I decided that we needed to leave. We need to move abroad. We needed to go somewhere out of the United States. Like she said, I'm a solo mom. Um, I'm educated. I got my bachelor's from Russ College. I got my master's from Grand Canyon University. So I have all the education and everything, but couldn't land a job. So fast forward to now, living abroad, loving every minute of it. I can't complain. I'm loving it. I am enjoying it. A little bit about my daughter. My daughter's name is Patsy. She got her name from her grandmother, which is my mother, and found out that I was pregnant. Ended up being high risk, so they say. I had the preeclampsia, so it was my blood pressure. Everything was just going out of whack. So, end up going on medication for the high blood pressure. Um, it was like maybe about my seventh month. Um, they were doing ultrasounds, and you know how they put the little belt on your belly to see how the baby is moving and all of that. She wasn't moving, she was really low. So then that's when they kept doing ultrasounds, and then around August, September, like around August, that's when the gentleman, the ultrasound guy, he was a little alarmed because she wasn't growing. um so my OBGY, she was like, well, we're going to induce you anyway towards the end of September. Give me 1 minute, baby. We're going to induce you towards the end of September, and then you can we'll be done with that. She didn't wait until the end of September. She waited after Labor Day. And I ran into some complications, and I don't know what happened. All I know is I went and had my ultrasound. He said go straight downstairs. I was being admitted. I get back in the back. I could not lay back for nothing. I kept saying, I can't lay back. I can't breathe. I can't lay back. I can't breathe. And I'm like, what is going on? And my doctor came down. She was like, she just left me. What is going on? She just left me. And all of a sudden, I had all these doctors coming in, and it was just so chaotic. I was scared. I was nervous. My sister was there. Then there was that's why I said you have angels, and God places people at the right place at the right time. So the anesthesiologist, he had a nurse. This nurse, I don't know her name, but she was so amazing. Like, oh my gosh, she was a gift from God. I don't know if that was a gift from my mother. I don't know. But she held my hand. She said, you're going to get through with this. Do you mind if I pray with you? I said, sure, pray with me. Because I was so nervous and scared because I didn't know what was going on. So she prayed with me. She held my hand. She was there every step of the way. When I went to the OR, so they can get her out, she was holding my hand. She even took pictures. She even took pictures for
Wow.
me. And I mean, really, really, really good pictures. She got everything. And it was just so amazing. When they got her out, I had an emergency C-section. They got her out. They made sure she was okay. I told my sister, hey, go make sure she's okay. I'm fine. Go make sure she's okay. She was fine. You know how they got to put all their little stuff on her, put all the stuff on the kids when they come out and all of that. She ended up going to the NICU. She was fine. It was just me with the problem. I had the high blood pressure issue.
Well, let's pause.
So, uh-huh.
Pause. So, there's a lot of talk about how the doctors treat Black women, especially
Hmm.
during childbirth. Did you have a black doctor?
Yes, I did. I
Okay.
did. I had a
Was
black
that for
doctor.
that particular reason?
Um, it was more so I knew of her. Um, she had came because I'm in a sorority, so she had came to one of our events. And I
Okay.
was like, oh, black doctor. I was so intrigued and so excited of seeing a black doctor in Texas. And
Oh,
I became friends with her. And then I was going for my regular checkups and all of that. But then when I got pregnant, then that's when she became my regular doctor for my daughter.
okay.
But it was more so, there, I guess you can say the Black doctors now, they're so book knowledge and whitewashed. They don't take they're not, they don't have bedside manners. So
Mm-hmm.
meaning you get in, if your appointment is at 10 o'clock, it comes to you at 10:15, and by 10:30 you're out. They don't sit down and really talk with you. They don't have a heart to heart. They don't say, do you know what's going on, this, that, and the other. They don't give you all the information that you need when you're first time out.
Okay.
They don't hold your hand.
Yeah.
Because if they would have told me down the line that she was going to have this disorder, I would have been more prepared. I would have had more knowledge. I didn't
Okay.
find out until 2017 that she had a disorder.
So when was she born? What year?
2016.
Okay. So take us back to NICU. Was she good in the NICU?
She was good when they got her out. They said that she was on her birth chart. It said failure to thrive. That was, and it's so generic, so
Okay.
broad. So I'm like, what is failure to thrive? Can you give me more information? They couldn't. They just kept saying she's failure to thrive. That's why she doesn't gain weight, because her weight is fluctuating. So when she was born, she was 4 pounds 2 ounces.
Okay. So she was a
When we, yeah, when we left the NIC, when we left special care, because they transferred her to special care for a week, and when she left there, she was 4 pounds 12 ounces. So
okay.
she gained weight. Um, but yeah, they don't really teach you. All they're worried about is insurance paid it. Okay, I got my money. I'm gonna give you 15 minutes of my time, and then I'm going somebody else.
And I think part of the problem is a lot of times they don't know. What I found is that the
Mm-hmm.
pediatricians didn't seem to know a whole lot outside of what a well child visit looked like.
Right.
Like they know the well child visit, but the second that the well child visit isn't a well child visit, it
Mm-hmm.
becomes, oh, maybe they're just a little behind. At least in my case, it was like, let's wait till the next visit. Let's wait till the next visit. Every visit, it was like he's just a little behind. Then it was, oh, he's a boy. Boys are typically behind.
Mm-hmm.
How did that first year go for you? Was it the same with those well visits and nobody seemed to know?
They were all clueless every time. So when she first was born, they were looking at her hands. Her hands were long. After they looked at her hands, they looked at her eyes. They said, oh, well, her eyes is not proportionate to her nose or her ears, or she might be Down syndrome. It was just a lot of craziness going on. Then when I found a pediatrician, she kept saying, who's her dad? Is he black? Is he white? What is he? And I'm like, okay, why are you asking me all these crazy questions? Everybody was clueless. Did nobody know anything? Even I had nurses coming to the house to do a checkup on her. They were clueless. Well, I don't know why she's not eating. I don't know. I don't know why she's not gaining weight, or oh, she's losing weight. And I'm like, okay, y'all so clueless. So that's why I was running out of Texas to get to Virginia, because Virginia, you have more doctors and more. That's what I thought. You have more doctors and more um, hospitals out there that
Okay.
can help your child, basically.
So what part of Texas were you in? Were you in like a major city or were you
Dallas?
in like a small town?
No, I was in Dallas.
Wow. So even in a major city like Dallas, you couldn't find a doctor or anyone that knew what was going on or could point you in the right direction.
No. Nobody ran tests on her. Nobody did anything. They just basically said failure to thrive. And I mean that's so broad. Failure to thrive of what?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, can you dig a little deeper to find out why is she failure to thrive? Is there a reason for a failure to thrive? Is it a disorder? What is it?
Yeah.
But
I mean,
nobody can do it.
there's so many similarities because I know my son Cam was my second child. So, I took him to the same pediatrician that my daughter went to, which the pediatrician was fine for my daughter because my daughter didn't have any problems.
Right.
So, she was always doing great. So, there was never any deviation. So, I didn't think about the fact that when I took my son, I just assumed he would be typical as well.
Right.
But then when I took him, it just seemed like the doctor just didn't know what to do.
They
Like they had no answers. It just became, oh well, he's just a little behind.
mm-hmm.
Boys are behind, and let's wait till 12 months. And I remember getting to 12 months. And when I got to 12 months, I was like, okay, we still haven't done any of these for, the 9-month check. So we can't do the 12. Like I remember them giving me that checklist, that checklist that you
Mm-hmm.
do, and you're supposed to
Yeah.
check it off. And I remember getting pissed off, right?
Exactly.
I remember saying, if he couldn't do the shit at 9 months, why are you giving me a list of stuff for
Right.
12 months that you
Right.
think he gonna be able to do? I said, what y'all need to do is give me some damn answers about what is
Mm.
going on because
Right.
this is not okay.
It's not.
And for me, what actually got me was my son had multiple medical problems. And
Mm.
one of those medical problems was that he could not stand loud noises, a
Mm.
vacuum, a blender. The final straw was when he could not, my mom, her voice is not extremely high pitched, but she must have a higher pitch because she could not even speak without him crying. She would actually have to whisper. And I remember taking him to the ENT. The
Mm-hmm.
ENT, mind you, and the ENT said, there's something wrong with this baby. And I was like, wait, you noticed too? And she was like, yes, he's not doing anything he's supposed to do. He's not trying to grab my stethoscope. He's not following my light the way that he should. She
Wow.
was like, are you getting babies can't wait or are you doing anything? And I was like, well, nobody would listen to me.
Right.
Nobody would listen to me that something was wrong. And she said, you need a new pediatrician. Go to this pediatrician, let her know I referred you and what's going on, and she will help you. And that began the first step was, and my
Mm-hmm.
doctor, he's a Black doctor, my pediatrician. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so it wasn't even that, he just was ignorant to what was really
Exactly.
going on.
Right.
And this, if it wasn't for this ENT, nobody would have
You know.
pointed me in the right direction. Because at the time I was married, and I mean, my ex-husband would say, oh, you just want something to be wrong with him. You just want something to be wrong with him. I'm like, nobody wants something to be wrong with their kid.
Exactly.
But I'm not in denial, and I know there's something wrong. So
Mm-hmm.
then you have that thing where you lined up with a partner that ain't helping, you know,
Right.
ignoring
Mm-hmm.
the facts in the matter. And then you got these doctors that they don't even know what to do. And I
Right.
went back to them and I asked them for that referral to early intervention, which is babies can't wait. And the doctor, they never even sent it in. I basically had to call because I called to check on
Wow.
it. And the organization was like, you can do a referral yourself. So tell me, so you said the hell with Texas, even though this is
Mm-hmm.
a metropolitan city, the
Yep.
hell with them. We are going to the next place.
Yes.
So you said, I'm gone. I'm going to Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what that looks like.
So we leave and get to Virginia 2017, July. So we get there. Um, I get the running. I'm trying to figure out what I can find, what doctors can I find, where I can go. Everything didn't start as it planned. It was a planned. We ended up going to a friend's get together in July. End up giving Patsy, accidentally gave her some lemonade. Why did I do that? She drank the lemonade and something must have happened because she blanked out and she was unresponsive
Over lemonade?
over lemonade. So I don't know if she had a seizure. I don't know what happened,
Oh
but
my
it
goodness.
was a big thing. It was like Patsy. She couldn't talk. She wasn't verbal. So this was July. She wasn't even a year yet. She was
Okay.
almost a year. Um, End up going to Children's National in DC. They ran tests because when we first got there, they said how old is she, and I told them. They were like, okay, why is she so little? I said, well, in the hospital, she was diagnosed as failure to thrive, and they looking at me like, okay. I'm telling myself, hell, that's what they told me. Failure to thrive. That's what.
Right.
And I mean, what do we supposed to do? And it's just like we the people that look dumb for what the doctors is saying. And
Right.
we're just going off of what they're saying. We're going off what they're printing black and white. But we look dumb. So that's when they admitted her. It was like, okay, let's run some tests. They did several tests. Everything else came back normal. They ended up doing a genetics test. That's when I found out she had a genetic disorder.
And what disorder is that?
It's called unbalanced translocation. So basically, she has a duplicate of chromosome 8 and chromosome 10 is deleted.
Okay.
So chromosome 10 is the base of is basically everything. It's your development, it's your walking ability, it's your talking ability. And also when these two chromosomes, like with the double and the deletion, it causes her to have seizures.
So if you had not given her lemonade, you would have never ended up in that hospital and you would not have found out. And I have to say, that sounds like an amazing hospital to do genetic testing during
Mhm.
that time. These doctors do not like to do genetic testing.
No.
Insurance does not like to pay for it.
And that was my hiccup in Virginia. That was the hiccup in Virginia because I went to Children's National in DC. It only covered DC. It didn't cover Virginia. We lived in Virginia at the time. So I had to get them to send me over the paperwork so I can take her blood test at somewhere in Virginia where the insurance will pay for it. So all that they did in DC, that was covered because it was an emergency.
Right.
That was covered. But anything after, I had to find. They had to send paperwork over to some other place in Virginia so she can get the blood work done. It took me a whole. I didn't get that documentation until December of 2017. That when she was diagnosed.
So, and when did she go into that hospital?
It was July of 2017
Wow. So it took 6 months.
for
So
them for them
because
to
of
tell me that.
yeah, because of our wonderful insurance in America. So
Mm-hmm.
you couldn't even just use one of those doctors if they did private practice that actually seemed to really care about your child. You
Nope.
had to wait until all the documentation came in to find a doctor in Virginia, even though that area is very much connected. It's the DMV. So that doesn't even
Exactly.
make any
Makes
sense.
sense. It doesn't. But that's the thing. That's the beauty. If you have insurance, that's the beauty of it. That insurance only covered for that particular area. And I'm like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So basically, make a long story short, once I found that out, Then I was like, okay. My god sister, who's also a pediatrician, she also did her residency in Virginia. She was like, well, try try VCU. That's all the way out down south. So I was like, okay, it's in Richmond. It's like, okay, let me try VCU. So pack up the family. We go out to VCU because I needed someone to explain what is this genetic disorder? What is it? Can you explain it? What does it do? What am I work? What are we up against?
So were you just driving down there, or did you move again?
No, 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 no. We just because Richmond from where we're at, Richmond is only about a 2 hour drive.
Okay. And that's the thing with that people don't realize, y'all, we do a lot of driving to get our babies some treatment. Like
Yes.
there was never any doctor near me, first of all, that I would even consider.
Mm-hmm.
To
Mm-hmm.
do an hour or two drive was typical for a doctor's appointment to get
Yep.
to the best doctor. You may stay overnight there, you may do a
Yep.
turnaround,
Yep.
but the idea of going to the community doctor was not it. Plus,
It's not. It wasn't an option. It was
right,
not
you
an
typically
option.
have a lot of doctors. I think at one point I counted, we were up to 17 doctors at one point.
Wow.
We had so like it was just like we got to get rid of some of y'all.
Exactly. Because some of y'all are not working.
Right. So
So,
you go down south, and how does
mhm.
that visit go?
That visit was, they were cuckoo too. So it was, they get me in there, they dump all this paperwork on me. So in their mind, they couldn't explain what her genetic disorder was. They couldn't explain it. So they gave me paperwork like she had Down syndrome, but she
Oh,
doesn't. She doesn't have Down syndrome. She doesn't have the features of Down syndrome. She just have a typical genetic disorder and could nobody explain it. They didn't tell me if she was going to have seizures. They didn't tell me that she wasn't going to be walking and talking on her own yet. They didn't give me a time frame. They didn't give me anything. All they gave me the paperwork and told me, hey, you might need to get her into a feeding clinic, do some physical therapy, and then that'll be that. So I'm like, okay, can somebody explain it? What is it? Oh, well, it's just she has a duplicate of chromosome 8 and a duplicate and then a deletion of 10. Can you tell me what those mean? What does 8 deal with? What does 10 deal with? I end up finding out about that down the line, what they actually mean. And that was 2021 when I found out.
wow. So 2 years ago is when you found out what was really going on with your daughter.
Hmm.
So how did you finally find out?
So she ended up back in a hospital again. And that's what I'm saying. We've been going back and forth, back and forth. And um, one thing I've learned during this process is you have to be your own advocate for your own
Amen. Amen. If you are not, you will never get
child.
a treatment. You won't get
Never,
anything if you are
nothing.
not advocating and being loud.
Exactly. And you also have to do your homework because they will tell you anything just to sweep it under the rug and get you out the way. And
Yep.
when you start doing that, then they're gonna be like, oh, I don't want to deal with you. I don't want to deal with you. Because that's what happened to us. So 2000, and so it started, her seizure started in 2000, March of 2000. No, I'm sorry, 2020. I'm sorry. It started 2020. My sister saw it. She had took her outside, and a split second, she had one. She was just staring. It was just a stare seizure. Fast forward, got her to the ER. She was fine. She snaps out of them. May, she had another one. It's like, okay. So all the doctors that I had, most of them were in VCU, most of them were at Children's National, most of them were all over. Um, but what they kept pressuring me to do was give her an MRI. Let's give her an MRI. We want to do an MRI so we can see what's going on in her brain. Let's do an MRI. And I'm like, do you guys see what size she is? She's not, she's petite. She's little. She can't talk to me. Do you know? I don't care that y'all have the best anesthesiologist. I don't care. This is a child. She's not developed yet to handle this. Well, we have the best in the world of the anesthesia. I don't care. But that's what they were trying to pressure me to do. Give her an MRI. Give her an MRI. We want to look in her brain and see what's going on. But that's the one question I always ask. If you already know that kids like this have this disorder, what is the outcome? Don't you have the studies from that child that have the same disease? Or you don't know?
So let me ask you this. How many people, do you know how many people have been diagnosed with this disorder?
No. I only know one, and it's like every child has a different one. So one child might have a chromosome duplicate of 10, but their 8 might be deleted. So it's always it's a battle to find out if somebody has the same one as hers.
Okay. So doctors couldn't tell you anything.
No.
They wanted you to do the MRI. Did you ever do an MRI?
No, I did not.
Okay.
No, I did not.
Did they ever do an EEG?
Mm-hmm. We did several of them.
Okay.
The last one, so we did one because I told them I really wasn't liking that. I didn't want that. So they did her EEG. That only lasted for about 30, 40 minutes. And then that's when it was like her brain was doing some waves or whatever. Okay. Her next seizure wasn't until, so she had one in March, May, and she had one in December, and that was all in 2020.
So she was having them almost monthly.
Yes.
Okay.
After 2020, 2021, we were at a standstill because we end up getting on Keppra. Keppra is a seizure medicine. It's the low grade seizure medicine. So that's what we on. And we were doing good. We were doing good we were doing good all the way up until March. Then when March came, that's when she started having them again. Like, really? But this time it was different. This time they were like every 10 minutes. So these were called absent seizures.
Oh my.
So end up taking her back to the doctor, to the ER, and they were like, okay, let's increase her meds. Okay, great. We end up going to Children's National. No, we're going to Inova then. So we left VCU because I got tired of them, and then they told on me because during the time of that, she was in school at one point in time. When we got to Virginia, I ended up putting her in early childhood, and that was a big disaster. Never put your child in early Head Start if they're not walking or talking.
Oh wow. Okay.
Because they treated her They treated her just like a baby. They did not treat her like the big kids were treated. Even though she was little, even though she wasn't walking, she still needed to intertwine or interact just like the other kids were.
Yeah.
And the physical therapist that I had for her had went out to the school. It was like, okay, we giving Patsy her physical therapy today. And she came back and told me, oh, well, they had her in her little section while they were over there painting. I'm like, why did she go over there and paint? my child's been without since August, and here is April. You could have been teaching her along the way not to put that in her mouth, because this is she wouldn't know not to put it in her mouth because it's been routine.
You know,
So,
so I'm gonna pause you there. One thing that a lot of people are not aware of is the
hmm
concept of neuroplasticity. So my
hmm
background, I'm a nurse practitioner. I do adult geriatrics, but of course, having a child with special needs, I've, learned quite a bit about children. And the reason I don't work with children, because I can't deal with my child stuff and other people's children's stuff.
exactly,
But
exactly.
there's this concept of neuroplasticity. It's a concept that's also used in the elderly population that they're using to develop treatments for dementia and things of that.
hmm
Basically, neuroplasticity says that we can create new areas in the brain. We can So if you have a smooth brain, you every ridge in the brain are things that we learn, things that we developed. So if you have a brain where there's an area that's smooth, that means that that part isn't functioning as well. So what we can actually do is we can actually create these new ridges and things in this brain if we expose these children to things over time. The
Right.
first 5 years are the most important time that children can soak in things. That's why they say if you want children to learn multiple languages, you expose them to it before the age of 5 or before they're young, and that's
hmm
why they can learn the language so quickly, because
Right.
they soak in things like a sponge, and they basically create these new pathways in the brain.
hmm
So that was the thing that pushed me with my son.
hmm
I actually ended up leaving my job and going to school, and that, while during that time, but we were in therapy like 5 days a week. We were in somebody's therapy, and I
hmm
would have to be my child's advocate, like you said, and I would have to speak up. Don't treat my child different. Let my child be part of these activities. He will learn.
hmm
Allow him to be part of the group. Do not, like you said, don't push him to the side, because the
hmm
thing is, you don't know how much information he is actually soaking in. They
Right.
don't know how much these babies can learn because they don't know any damn thing about them.
Exactly.
You have to continue to include them so that they
hmm
can learn.
hmm
And I remember, you got to collect the documentations from the doctors every so often. And I remember collecting the documentation. And one of the things that was consistent amongst his doctors were that they said that his progress was completely based off of my ability to keep pushing and taking him to visits and getting therapies. And they didn't think that it would be possible for him to be where he is if it wasn't for that.
Right.
So that advocacy, you got to
hmm
do pop-ins,
Yep.
and I learned that when we did early Head Start too at
hmm
Head Start. You got to
hmm
pop in, you got to make
hmm
sure they doing things correctly. You basically got to make sure they on their P's and Q's,
Yeah.
because they will do things that are
hmm
not correct.
hmm
So you found out that Head Start was excluding her, and what happened then? What did you do?
I took her out.
Okay.
I was like, that was she only was in there from August to April. I took her out. It was like, I might as well just keep her at home. I do a better job than you guys are doing. So I took her out, and once I took her out, that was the best thing that ever happened. We just got physical therapy, occupational therapy. We got all that at home. And then I was like, once they said, okay, at the age of 4, she can no longer come to us no more. Okay, thank you. So I ended up finding someone outsourced. I had to outsource, had to go find another physical therapist, an occupational therapist to help her. We've been through everything. We've been through the feeding clinic, which was a bunch of crap. It's just like they give you all of this stuff that make your child go backwards instead of forward. Feeding clinic, it wasn't anything. Bring your own food and they help you or they teach you how to feed them. Um, so it's just a bunch of, it's a gimmick because you're just making these other people get rich. That's all it is. It's a gimmick.
So did you feel like you didn't get a lot of help for your doctors and therapists?
I did not. Only I let me take that back. The one person or the one group that did help was the pediatric, I mean not the pediatric, the physical therapist that I just left. Um, I work with them on, let's see, 2021. Yeah, so all of 2021 we worked together. They work with her. When I said work with her, like, oh my God, they truly worked with her. They did her walking. And the lady that did the walking for her, she was like, she was in boot camp. It was just like, come on, Patsy, you can, come on, hold that head up, come on. And then they were teaching her how to use her fingers to do the pinching, to pick stuff up. They were teaching her yoga. They was teaching her everything, and she was grasping it. She was getting it. So that was the only one that really, and they were in Fredericksburg, Virginia,
Okay.
and they were the only ones that really helped, until towards the end, and they wanted to start acting all funky and stuff. So I was like, okay, it's
So
time to go. It's time to go anyway.
that was when she got older.
No,
Was
this
she
was
aging out of the system, out of their
no,
system? No.
no, she
Okay.
wasn't. This because this was private care. So this
Okay.
was something that I they took her insurance, and this was something I had to go every we was going twice a week.
Okay. And I mean, I think that that's the thing. For me, I fired plenty of doctors. I fired plenty
Mm-hmm.
of therapists. When I
Mm-hmm.
finally got the right set, I got the right set. But I had to go through a lot to get the right set. I
Yep.
remember my child was so stubborn. He had this one OT and he would go in there with her and it would basically be a standoff. If he didn't like you, he just didn't like you. He refused to do anything for this
Right.
OT. And for those that don't know, OT is an occupational therapy. They help you with things with your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Physical therapists help you with things with your body, your big muscles. So, he refused. She said, well, he was supposed to put the penny in the jar in the piggy bank. And, I told him we can't do anything until you put the piggy in the piggy bank, which I'm like, aren't you grown? Like, so you really
Right.
gonna sit here and do a standoff for a whole hour? So I didn't know this because, once you start regular therapy, you don't necessarily go in the back with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, basically what happens is she says, so he just sit there and she sit there for, I guess, a damn near hour. And
Wow.
basically, at the end, she says, well, you can't go to your mom until you put the piggy in the piggy bank. Until you put the penny in the piggy bank. My child put that penny in that piggy bank, picked up his walker and walked his ass by. I
What?
was like, so we won't be seeing you anymore. First of all, we can't be doing standoffs with 4 and 5
Right.
year olds.
Right.
Second of all, he obviously doesn't like you, so he not working with you. You
Mm-hmm.
making you the best therapist in the world, but he don't care.
Right.
So you gotta go through these people, and like you said, over time, some of them kind of pull back or they don't want to do as much. They feel like their
Mm-hmm.
efforts aren't as good. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like a constant search and
Mm-hmm.
battle to
It is.
find good people to
It is.
work with your child.
Yep.
So after you left that therapy group, like, so what was that transition? What happened that said, all right, I'm out of the States?
It didn't come until Patsy had her last seizures December of 2021. They started on December 17th and they did not end until January 17th.
What, every day?
They were not every day, but they seemed it was frequent. It was really, really frequent. So her seizures for these were the absent seizures. So the way that it worked is she had one on December 17th. So she'll drop her head, like she'll be watching something, she'll drop her head, and then she'll snap out. She'll drop her head, snap out. Drop her head, and I say, Patsy, Patsy. And she'll, huh? And she'll go back to whatever she's doing. Now think of that being done every every 3-4 minutes. Every 3-4 minutes you do that. Every 3-4 minutes. So December 17th, I had ended up going to Woodbridge, and I came back and I told my sister, I said, well, make sure you watch her because I don't know, something's not right.
What is Woodbridge? Is that just a city you were doing
Yeah,
things in? Okay.
yeah. That was just a little city. I was just going to get something, going
Okay.
out to make an errand, and then I was coming back home. And she was like, okay, I'll watch her. So when I got back home, I looked at her and I was like, something ain't right. You know how you get that mama intuition.
Yeah. Yeah.
So next thing I know, she was doing them. And this was coming like back to back. I was like, oh shoot, they coming back. So I ran. I was like, we gotta go to. I gotta go. I had to get her to the ER. So I had went to Inova, which I liked Inova for a moment. I liked them. They said they were the best of the best. It's not South. This is North. So I'm like, okay, North Virginia, they got more sense, and I'm thinking they know everything. Get there. So when I first took her, that was January of 2021. When I first took her, they did excellent. The lady that was in the ER, she was on it. She saw her have the seizure. She knew exactly what to do, and she was on it. Get here December of 2021, and they're clueless. They start asking all these questions, whatever, whatever, whatever. They then admitted her, and that's when I know it was time to leave the US. I already knew in my spirit it was time to leave because I already went to, keep in mind, November of 2021, I had came and did my recon trip here to Merida.
Recon. What's
So
recon?
basically I came to visit.
Okay.
Came to visit, came to see the get the feel of it, make sure this was a fit for my whole family.
Okay. So you knew before this big seizure uh,
Mm-hmm.
episode, that it was time to get up out of here.
Yes, I
Okay.
knew in March
Okay.
of 2021. That's when we knew. Well, actually, it was
Okay.
February of 2021. We already knew that
So,
we were leaving, but we didn't know where.
okay. So what made you pick Merida?
Merida was like, this was chosen for us because we didn't know anything about Merida.
Okay.
Our relocation specialist that we had retrieved, she told us about Merida.
Okay. So what was it about it that she told you that made you go visit?
It's safe. They love family, and I didn't know anything about the doctors then, but I knew from hearing that the doctors in Mexico, period, were good because we used to follow Dr. Sabi.
Oh,
So
okay.
Dr. Sabi was telling us about Mexico and how Mexico has that authentic way of living and eating with, fresh everything, fresh fruit, fresh this, fresh everything. So we already knew about Mexico for that aspect, but we didn't know about Merida. But she was just saying it's safe. It's they love kids. It's very family based. So you won't have no worries. Because that's all we were worried about. Will our kids be okay? Will our kids be safe? Can we go walk outside at nighttime and be okay? We can.
And Merida is the safest area in Mexico. Do you know why?
No.
Okay, so it said that it's the safest place because the cartel and other things have an agreement that
Mhm.
their families will live in Merida. So it is a no whatever zone. It is a
Mhm.
hands off. Everybody abides by the same rules. All their
Mhm.
families can live there. We will never invade Merida. So
And
that is why it's the safest place in
and
Mexico.
I heard and I heard that from our private driver. I just wasn't sure if that was true. But I heard that same story from our private driver. He was like, you never know. You might be next to a cartel's grandmother or mother or whatever, but they're not going to come here and invade this territory here
Yeah, it's
because
hands
it's
off.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So
you go on your she said Sophia said, what? I didn't know that about Merida. So Sophia also lives in Merida. She is actually what would be the term? She and Ebony actually work together doing retreats, and we'll
yeah.
touch on that. But I'm going to be dropping another video with all three of them, and we're going to talk in detail about these retreats they have for women. But I don't want to jump too far ahead. Y'all have to
Mhm.
subscribe so you'll know when that one comes out. But
Yes.
we're not going to jump that far ahead just yet. So you get to Merida your first time. You basically do a visit there, a scouting
Mhm.
visit. And what do you see? What makes you say, oh, we moving here?
What I fell in love with that really stood out was the authenticity, how they love people,
What do you
how
mean?
they don't look at us as just a color or you're black or you're white or this or that. They look at you a human. You have you we shed the same blood. You're human. And then when I went to this particular area called Central, and I see all of these people, they're talking their language, but they're loving on their kids. I see grandmama sitting down next to the grandbabies, and they're loving on each other. And that I felt like I don't get this in the States. All you get is I hate, I hate. I don't like you. I don't like the way you look. You too fat. You ugly. You this. We always get brutalized with how we look and how we think and how we express. You don't do none of that here. They love you for who you are. They see no color. They see you. They love our hair.
They do like to touch our hair.
They do. And it's funny because when you in the States, you don't want nobody to touch your hair. Nobody. No, you ain't touch. No, don't touch my baby hair. Don't touch her. No.
To my eye, you don't touch black women hair. Don't do that.
Right. But here it's different. It's a different vibe. It's like they welcome us like we their people.
Yeah, I got that feel when I went to Mexico too. That's what I loved about Mexico. And I was in Mexico City, so you wouldn't even necessarily think that in the city they would be that
Mhm.
way. But they
Mhm.
were still just so very loving and caring. I still talk to my friends I met in Mexico City, and I was only there for like 6 weeks. And I mean, they're amazing people.
Uh-huh.
And
Well, it's funny because we got a Mexican friend too. And I met them while getting a cell phone. Met them at she works at the cell phone place. She took us to her home the same day.
yeah, they just
So
they just love on you. You
they
know,
do.
in America, they try to make us think that the Mexican people are enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Because God forbid we all move down there and they ain't got nobody to pay these taxes and all this stuff.
Exactly.
I'm like, I got my video coming out. I'm like, let me get this Mexican residency before they put up
A
they put
wall.
put up a wall to keep us out, not for us.
Exact. Not exactly.
They make you think all the Mexicans want to come to America. And they like, America's dangerous. Why y'all live
No,
here?
they only come. They only come to America to get the money. That's it.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it.
So tell me the people you fell in love with. What else did you fall in love with in Merida that made you say, okay, I need to move here?
The food. And to be honest with you, when I got off that plane, I kid you not, it was like all my burdens just left.
Mm,
It's just like when you cross, like my grandmother used to say, baby, when you cross over water, it do something to your soul.
really, I can agree with that. I definitely, I never heard that before, but I
Mhm.
can definitely agree with that.
It does something to your soul. It does something to you. It makes you leave all of your burdens, everything that you have, whatever. It's just you just free. And when I got off that plane, I felt free. I felt rejuvenated. It just something just came over me like wow. And then when you touch bases on a different soil, that people criticize, that people downgrade, that people say, "Oh, this is a third world country." Nah, baby, they living better than us.
Right.
They living way better than us. So yeah, that's what I felt. I just felt pure, felt just pure, just like you know what? I don't have a care in the world. I didn't feel, threatened or nothing like that. No, 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 no. When I got off that plane, I went through immigration. They said, "How long you be here?" Oh, I'm here for 7 days. And on my return ticket, you talk to them like you're talking to somebody else. You're just talking to another person.
So, did you look into on that first trip? Did you look into the medical?
Um, I touched bases here and there. So there was a group that I was in, and they gave me a packet as like a survival packet. So it had different people's hospital information. It gave basically all the information that you need for a
So,
survival kit. But I
was
didn't
this a
use that.
was it a Facebook group?
No, it's not a Facebook group. It was a WhatsApp group.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's a WhatsApp group, and they gave like a survival kit, but I didn't use any of those numbers. I didn't start looking. What did I do? So only thing that I did do was I brought my daughter's medicine. I took a picture of it, and I went to the pharmacy here, and I asked them. And keep in mind, we don't speak the language. Now I don't speak Spanish. Some of them don't speak English.
Okay.
But that's why we thank God for Google Translator.
Right. Right.
So I just went in there and I asked her, I said, "Hey, do you guys carry this?" And she looked it up. They called her another name, but she
Yeah.
said, "Yes, we have it." But she said, "What you have to do, you have to see a doctor first to prescribe it. And then once you get a prescription, then you're good." I said, "Oh, okay, that's it. Okay, all right." So
Yeah.
then, so when we did get here, I did end up finding a doctor. Outstanding, outstanding, outstanding.
So let's pause. So you went back to the States after
Mhm.
doing your visit. Then she start later that year, she started having the seizures.
Mhm.
Basically, they still didn't have much more. We're back in the States now. They don't have much more treatment.
No, because we went. So she went to the ER December 17th. They didn't do anything. It was basically we was sitting in the hallway of Inova, sitting in the hallway. Um, a resident came. He didn't speak no English, but he was trying to explain something. They increased it to she was taking 1.5, so they increased it to 1.7 ml. I was like, okay. Then they sent us back home. It's like, all right. She was good for a couple of days, then it came back.
So this was kind of what you did for a month.
Yes.
Okay. So when did you pack up and move to Merida?
It was January 13th when she had her last seizure. And this seizure, it kept her up all night. So we end up going to the ER up the street because I couldn't wait on a ambulance no more because they asked too many doggone questions. This. Anybody got COVID? Anybody been out of the? I go ahead and take her to the hospital.
Right. Because it's like,
So
regardless of if we get hell, if we have COVID now, you still need to take her to the ER. We just need to put on
exactly,
a mask.
exactly. So I was like, so I ended up taking her to the ER, and this is how I knew that they were competent and it was time for us to go. The doctor didn't have no paper. He took his pen out of his shirt and he wrote on the sheet. That's how I knew that they were incompetent.
So that was kind of your final straw. Like, you came
That
in here
was
and you're not even prepared to see my baby.
that was it. Then you calling, you don't have a clue of why she's doing this. You're getting mad at me because I canceled her because everybody, all the doctors she had was so incompetent. So I had that same day, she had an appointment with her genetics doctor. Tell you how incompetent she is because turn it down, Patsy. She seen her on Christmas Day. And I'm gonna tell you how stupid they are. In black and white, they said that she had a behavioral seizure. Now, anybody that's on here that's a doctor, what is a behavioral seizure? It's in black and white. So he got mad at me because of the simple fact I canceled her doctor's appointment with her. Who wouldn't? It's like, who wouldn't cancel their doctor's appointment if somebody is telling you your child had a behavioral seizure? And they got mad also because I knew what the hell I was talking about. I was telling them she was having absence seizures. And you know how they don't want you to know more than they know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was the last straw. Once he called the doctor at Inova, they were like, well, why don't you increase her meds? Because everybody kept because she is growing, she is gaining weight.
So
That's what
you
one
have
of
to
the
change
nurses,
the meds
right.
based off the weight.
That's what one of the nurses told me. She was like, well, my sister is on Keppra as well. So when they gain weight, you got to increase the medicine because it goes according to the weight.
Yeah, it has to
Why do
be
you,
recalculated.
right? So now we're at 3 point. Right now we're at 3.3, or between 3.3 and 3.5. So when we got out that ER, I looked Patsy in her face and I told her, I said, baby, mama is getting you out of here. I said,
Mm.
I don't know how we getting to Merida. I don't know what we gonna do. I said, I'm gonna have to rearrange some funds. We getting there. And then when I got in the car, my sister came and picked me up. And I said, Tanya, we gotta go.
So
How
that
we
was on the 17th of January.
Yep.
And when did you leave?
February 6th.
Wow. So not even a month later.
No, I
So
couldn't do it.
you got on the ground. Did you already have plans? Did you already have an apartment, or did you have
Yes.
to okay. So you had
So
already made all of that.
it was when it's for you, it's for you. God know how to arrange a lot of things. Prior to me coming in November, I went to a meetup group, end up meeting this young lady and her husband. Started conversating with them. They end up getting two extra houses here. She allowed us to stay in one of her houses, the one that she had, that they were staying in previously. They allowed us to stay in her home, and we stayed there when we got here in February, and then we stayed up until June in that home, and then we ended up moving somewhere else here in Merida.
Okay. So you get to Merida, you have your place to stay. You said you found a doctor there.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of treatment did she start getting there? And how were the seizures?
She has no treatments. The seizure has, we have no seizures.
No
So,
seizures since you've been there?
no seizures since we've been here. And it's the reason for that is because of the climate, the
Hmm.
weather, the food. Um, it is the atmosphere. It's all about environment. It's all about um energy. If you going through a chaotic household and you got mold or you got carpet, all of that contributes to how your well-being, you and your child's well-being.
Yeah.
We had carpet in our house. We had mold. The apartment we was living in, every time somebody above us, if they have a leak, that comes down on us.
When you were staying in the States.
And when we was staying in the States,
Okay.
they never changed it. Um, it was dirty. We've been living in that same place for over 5 years. Not once they come and clean the carpet. Not once did they take the carpet up and rechange it. So once you in there, you're accumulating all of this stuff, dirt, everything. So yeah, quite naturally, you're gonna have something that's gonna go wrong. You're gonna get sick. And that's what we're doing. Furniture contributes. We had all this bulky furniture. It must have been a reason why she couldn't fall asleep in our room, because she couldn't sleep in the States. Now this child sleeps like an angel.
Mm.
I she don't even, when it's, because I had blackout curtains in the States. Here I don't even have to have no curtains because she stays sleeping until about 12. She take naps now. I used to beg her, Patsy, look down, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. Now I don't even have to do none of that. She get fresh fruit. She gets smoothies every morning. We go down the street. It's mango season right now, so she get nothing but mangoes. You get fresh bananas. They have a banana tree. Everything here is fresh. That contributes to any child.
How is her appetite now? Because I know at first she was failure to thrive.
Yep. Appetite is now in the States. I used to try to give her everything. She didn't want it. It was a color issue. Now it's just like she want everything that's on my plate. She eat pancakes. She eats quinoa. She's eating spinach. She's eating refried beans, refried black beans. I mean, only thing she can't tolerate is the dairy.
Okay.
She can't tolerate the dairy, which is fine. But everything else, I try to keep her on a strict diet. No sugars, none of that. No candy, no juices, none of that. So being here she has transformed tremendously.
And that's so interesting to me because, my son, his genetic disorder, they say that they're supposed to decline. And what I noticed is by the age of 12, a lot of the kids were having really bad vision problems. They may stop walking, talking, things of that nature. So I've always had this cloud of what happens when he turns 12. So a lot of the reason why I left the States and started traveling was because I felt like, well, I'm gonna give him the life that, he can have right now, because I don't
Mhm.
know what will happen in the future. I would tell people we have this, you go to school, you go to college, you get married, you have kids, and then you live life somewhere in between there. So I was like,
Mhm.
well, we're reversing that. We're gonna
Mhm.
live life. I'll teach him, because I can't do no worse than what y'all doing.
Exactly.
Um, I'll teach him, give him the things he needs, and the rest of that we'll figure out, because we can always go to school and do all of that other stuff,
Mhm.
if that's the path he chooses. And I came back to the States after being gone for a year, and they did his testing. And what they found was that he had not declined. If anything, he had done better. And at this point, we had been living in the DR for 6 months, and we lived some other places. But I was like, I think it's the walking, you get
Mhm.
outside, it's the fresh
Mhm.
air, it's the
Mhm.
beach, it's the fresh
Mhm.
fruits and vegetables. Because, like you,
Mhm.
we would have our batida, which is the smoothie.
Yep.
We would have that every day. It would be the bananas off the banana tree. It would be all of that. And Helen said your move saved your child. And it
It
really
did.
does seem that way.
It did. It really did. And like I said, I was so determined to get out. I was determined. I was trying to find whatever means that I could to get out.
Okay.
Because it was hurting her more than helping her.
Right.
Um, and when she got here, she likes the music. She's now trying to walk on her own. She's a little wobbly, but
Mhm.
she's still trying to do it on her own. She's trying to be more independent. Right now, I'm teaching her Spanish sign language. Didn't know that occurred. Didn't know that existed. So I'm trying to figure out how to get her to talk. Now, like I said, in the States, they didn't tell me, what age is she's going to talk since she has this genetic disorder. We don't know.
They don't know.
They don't know. Don't nobody know. And the information that they did give me, I end up finding out that information came from a company in UK.
Yeah, a lot of studies are being done in other countries other than
Right.
ours.
Right.
Hmm.
So it's just like, well, I might as well go to UK and pick their brains and see what I can find from them. Because y'all are dum dums over here. Y'all are clueless.
Yeah.
But here she loves their music. I call her my Mexican baby. We have now decided to get a YouTube together, so I'm gonna be posting everything from her birth up until now
Okay.
about her life journey, about how she's thriving over here.
Yeah.
I'm turning what they said failure to thrive. I'm saying she's thriving abroad.
Right. Right.
So that's where we at right now.
And how is your life there?
Oh, my life is beautiful.
I can
Oh,
just see the calm come over your face.
my life is it it's so amazing because in the States, I kid you not, I'm gonna put a before and after picture on my social media. I lost weight when I got here
Hmm.
from
Yeah.
walking. I lost weight when I got here. And it's just like I couldn't do that in the States. I'm like, what were we doing? What were we doing?
Hmm.
But yes, it's so peaceful here. You can think. You can actually think and you can survive. You can think. The energy here is like hands down. Um, I can go outside and not be scared. I can go outside and I can walk my streets. Couldn't do that where I was living because they didn't have sidewalks.
Right. Right.
So that part, we can just go and just sit out on our street and just relax at nighttime. and not be scared. Oh, somebody gonna shoot at us, or this or that or the other. Our kids can't go outside and play. They can go outside and play. You can create here. That's how we started creating our businesses once we got here, because we had created them in the States, but didn't nobody want them. Did nobody, only thing that they wanted was when we started the cake business in the States, they wanted that. But then after Black Lives Matter ended, that's when the cake business ended, because they didn't want it no more. They only patronize us when it's something go wrong, when we do a march or whatever, and then we're happy with it at that point. But then after, you don't want to be bothered no more, because 2021, after our Fox 5 News had media broadcasts, after that, then nobody want to be bothered with Katie's Cakes no more.
Mm. So I know you said you're very well educated, like most Black women,
Mm-hmm.
and you had trouble finding the jobs in the States. First of all, what's the cost of living in Merida, and what do you do now?
So the cost of living here is very reasonable. It's
Mm-hmm.
affordable. Long as you have either if you're an entrepreneur and you have clients in the States, your money from the States will go farther here. You will go far. Please
Okay.
believe me. Um, so we have, what I do now is I am an entrepreneur with my sister and with Miss Sophia. We are entrepreneurs, and that's how we started our business. Patsy's Daughters moved abroad last year, actually, March of 2022. And it's just been amazing. Um, that's how we make our money. We make our money from our business.
And what do you do with that business?
So basically, what I do, and I'm gonna tell you, I can tell you mine's and my sister's.
Okay.
So what I do is I am a relocation or visiting specialist for Merida, Mexico. So if you want to come and visit us, visit Merida, if you want to come and relocate, you said, you know what, I'm tired of living in my country that I'm in. Hey, come check with me, chat with me for 2 hours, and I can give you the ins and outs of how to relocate, what you need to know, what you need to do. I will give you the raw information. I'm not gonna sugarcoat nothing. I'm gonna let you know, hey, do you like iguanas? Because that's what comes, that's what's around here. Do you like geckos? They come in your house, they look smaller things, they crawl in your house, but they don't harm you. So do you like the heat? Be like the Mexicans. Stay yourself inside the house until 6 o'clock when the sun go down. Then you go out. That's what they do. So you gotta act like a Mexican if you're gonna live in Mexico.
Yeah.
I prepare, what I do basically, I just prepare you for the move to Merida. I prepare you to visit Merida. I provide you with housing assistance. I pick you up from the airport with my personal driver. If you come visit, we pick you up and he drops you off back to the airport. I will hand hold you. I will basically hold your hand while preparing you to come to Merida. And for 1 month, you're still getting my hand holding. So I'm not going to leave you behind. I'm not going to just throw you off and say, you know what, you got this. No, because I wish somebody would have did that for me.
Right.
When we got here, I wish somebody did hold our hand. When I came for that week, I didn't have a clue of what to do. I wish I had somebody to guide me and say, hey, do this. Hey girl, I'm coming to get you. Let's go do this. I'm gonna handhold you and sit with you so you could be comfortable, because some of us has probably not even traveled before. Some of us have probably never moved outside of the country before. So why would I make you stay in a country that you don't know nothing about?
Yeah.
I've been here for 1 year now, and I can say I've been around. I got around and met a lot of people, and I can definitely point you in the right direction. If I don't know, I will ask.
Okay. Now, also tell us about set.
Sure. So set your intention 7 day retreat. It's a 7 day retreat for you and another person. So we're taking two people per booking. So you come here and you're gonna set your intentions. What does that look like? Whatever it is, you come here, you rest, you rejuvenate, and you rebuild your life. So whatever you want to do, whatever passion you have, go and do it, baby. You want to write a book? Come on down here to Merida, Mexico. Let your inner take all that negative energy out. Sit in yourself and say, I want to write my book. Start naming it. Hey, what am I gonna call my book? If you want to sing, if whatever you want to do, you want to be a chef. This is a time that you find who you are, not what nobody else have discovered. I know your mother and your daddy and your cousins and your sisters and brothers say, hey, go and do that job, girl. You got that, you got 7 figures. But yeah, you making 7 figures, but are you happy?
Are you happy? Yep.
That's the $1 million question. Are you happy?
Mm-hmm.
Are these people getting on your last damn nerves? Like, I wish you would leave me alone and stop piling all this work on my desk.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have time? And I know a lot of people, they have all this time saved up for what?
Right.
You got all this vacation time for what? Because when you dead and gone, and please believe, I know my mother and uncle died 6 months after they retired. 6 months after they retired, they passed. So time waits for nobody. Come here to the 7 day retreat in Merida, Mexico to set your intentions. It could be you and your child. You want to get a connection. You want to set your child's intentions for their life because they can go and do what we did. I don't want my daughter to go to college and get these master's degree and doctor's degree and lawyer's degree and then do what? Because these companies, they telling you who they gonna put in your place. These machines, computers, softwares. That's the name of the game now.
Yeah.
So the 7 day retreat is you're gonna be basically going out, getting the feel of Merida. You're gonna be laughing. You're gonna be partying. You're gonna go back to your room, and then you're gonna think, what am I going to do with my life? Here I am 40. I ain't got nothing to show for but a house that's not yours.
The American dream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, our website is tctotalwellness.wixsite.com/set retreat.
And all of that will be in the description, as well as
Mm-hmm.
how to get in contact with Ebony,
Mm-hmm.
the website. Like I said, make sure you subscribe to the channel because there will be an alert when the video releases where I interviewed the three ladies of Set. We'll be talking about their different businesses as well as the retreat, as well as Miss Sophia did a live reading, tarot reading for me. So you'll get to see all of that when we post that video. So at this point, I want to see, does anyone have any questions for Ebony? Let us know. Um, Lovely One said, do you have residency?
Yes, I do. It's a different type of residency. Um, my family and I went through Kamar. I am now considered like a refugee of the United States. Um,
Explain that.
sure. So basically we came in February. In Mexico, they give you 6 months. They allow you to stay here on a temporary visa for 6 months. After 6 months, then you have to leave the country of Mexico and go somewhere else, and you can come back in. By us having children, my sister and I having children, we didn't want to do that border hop back and forth, and it costs money. So we end up going to Belize. We went to the outskirt of Belize called Corazon. Biggest mistake ever. That's why I said if someone is thinking about moving here and wanted to know what's the process in doing that, I would want to give you that information before you even go that far. Because I wish the person that we had got would have told us, don't go by bus, go by air. So we end up going to Corazal by bus and get to immigration, and they basically did a shakedown with all our money. So we had to pay a tax fee to get out of Mexico to go into Corazal to Belize. And then Belize had to charge us $20 to get in. And then coming back, we had to pay another $20 to get out of Belize. And then get to Mexico, we had to pay another fee to get in Mexico. So end up getting in line at the Mexican border. They gave us 30 days. And end up doing that. Yeah, I took the 30 days because at first the guy went in, they was gonna give us 7. We was like, wait a minute now. We don't have that type of we don't have that kind of money, we not balling like that. Yeah. So we had to stand in line. That line was around the corner. We had to stand in line and end up getting in line, filling out the paperwork. They gave us 30 days. Okay, I could deal with 30 days because that's going to give me time enough to get to where I need to go to do whatever I need to do. So the driver I had, that's why I said, God puts people in the place where you need him, when you need them to be. Our driver, which he is Mexican, but he is American. He came and picked us up. He was like, what happened? And we told him the story. He was like, all right, Monday I'm coming to pick you up. We're going down to immigration. Went down to immigration. He was like, now, don't leave without them telling you something. What you gonna do? Let them know something. So then I went down. Now keep in mind, I don't speak Spanish. And some of them don't speak English. There was one lady who spoke English. She deals with Kamar. Kamar is basically when you're fleeing from your country for any reason. Could be medical, could be political, could just you just can't survive there. I took medical because my daughter has medical issues and the states wasn't giving her the proper care. I gathered up all the paperwork, filled out the paperwork in Spanish, submitted it over to them. That was on that Monday. I got the form. I went back Thursday, gave her the paperwork. It took a whole week, and I got an email from Commerce. They accepted our applications.
So how long are you able to stay with that?
So we're under it's still a visitor visa, but the visitor visa is for 1 year. So we did this September. It was September 6th, which is Patsy's birthday. So we all got our green cards. So we have to so the only kicker is we cannot leave Merida for 1 year.
Oh, okay.
So you can't go travel back and forth because that's going to mess up your Kamar paperwork.
Okay.
So I can't. Now we can go where there's no border. Meaning if I go to a border, they're going to have to stamp my passport and they're going to look and see in the system that I'm doing Kamar. And that's going to wipe out everything. but I can go, like, if it's 2 hours away or something, I can go there.
Okay, you just can't go where they
Right.
would
To
stamp your
Mexico,
passport.
right. I can't go to Mexico City. I can't go those far. Cancun. I can't go
Oh,
there.
okay.
I
Okay.
can't go there for 1 year. So September, our year is up. Then that's when we do the process for temporary. So
Okay.
it's like a, you're taking baby steps. They want to, basically what it is, they want to make sure that you're for real about what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you're playing, saying, no, I ain't gonna stay here. I just want to do the 6 months. Then you keep the 6 months. But if
Right.
you're saying, this is where we live, this is where I'm gonna be at, then that's why you got to go through this process.
Okay.
So like I say, sometimes Kamar is not for everyone.
Right. There's a lot of restrictions there.
Right. It's not for everyone, but if you have kids, you don't want, unless you want to travel and you and your child want to travel, that's great. You can border hop like that. But if you say, I want to have a foundation, for
And
a
stay one.
stable foundation for them to be at, or for me to live at, then yeah, I want to stay put for a minute.
Okay. And then Thomasine says, I am looking at a hip replacement because I have bone on bone in my hip. Is the retreat possible with limited mobility?
So, I have bone to bone in my hip. Is it true? I mean, you can just be in the hotel if you like, but we can come to you.
I think, Thomasine, it would be helpful to reach out to them directly to see what is available, because when people say limited mobility, because my son has limited mobility, however, though there's different levels to the limited mobility. So I would say reach out to them and find out, and we'll list their information, because what's limited to you may allow you to go to the beach or different places, but it may be that we can't get out or something like that. So I would say to do that. Lovely one said, have you found a doctor? You said you have a doctor there now that you love, right?
Yes, I do. I
Okay.
do. He's a general doctor. He's not a pediatrician. He's a general doctor. He's for all of us, actually. He does house calls as well. I have his phone number. And that's what a lot of people always ask. Well, your daughter has this, and this. And what if she gets sick? Oh, I have him on speed dial. So
Yeah.
anything happens. He said, give him a call. He will call if I need an ambulance for. He'll call the ambulance for him and speak Spanish to them. So
Yeah,
go
a lot
ahead.
of times once you leave the states and you get to Mexico and things like that, doctors give you their phone numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You can text them, they'll
Yep.
text you, they'll check on you, they do house calls. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like in the states. It's like
No.
having a friend that's a doctor.
Yep. Yep.
Let's see. Bobby said, if a person suspects something is wrong with their child and the doctors are overlooking them, what are things you should say?
Uh,
So let me see. Let me tell you this one, and I'm gonna tell you this from a medical perspective and a parent perspective that
mhm.
has a child with special needs. I would say you want to let them know, I am suspecting, I would like to look more into this because my child does A, B, C, D.
Mhm.
So how do we explore this further?
Mhm.
If you don't get the right response, well, your insurance allows you to go to a specialist with, in most,
Yeah.
at this point, a lot of times your insurance allows you to go to a specialist without a referral. So if you feel like your child may have seizures, look up a neurologist. If you feel like your child may have autism, look up an autism specialist. If you feel like your child has walking difficulties, look up an orthopedist.
Mhm.
That's what I tell people. You have to be your own advocate. So,
Mhm.
and a lot of times these pediatricians and general doctors, they may not know. They They know broad spectrum. When I
Mhm.
worked internal med, I know broad spectrum. It,
Mhm.
but then when I went to psychiatry, I know everything about psychiatry. So we have to remember the way our medical works. When we go overseas, those doctors, they know everything, it seems like.
Everything.
They know a lot about more, a
Mhm.
little bit more, in my
Mhm.
opinion, the general. But I still went to an orthopedist in Mexico, and he was awesome. But here we have a lot of specialists. They don't have a lot of specialists
Mhm.
overseas.
Mhm.
So if you suspect something and your doctor doesn't point you into the right direction, find a specialist. If you need to know who this specialist is, get into a Facebook group or do a Google search.
Mhm.
Google reviews and Facebook reviews will tell you a lot about a
Yep.
particular doctor.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
let's see. So y'all, I am going to have to jump off here, but I want you to let everyone know you told us your website. How can they contact you, Ebony, if they want to find out more about relocation or more about the retreat?
So you can go to our website, which is Patsy's Daughters Moved Abroad.com, and everything is on that website. It also can take you to my sister's website, my website, my niece's, and it will also take you to Set Your Intentions. That's also going to lead you to Set Your Intentions website.
Okay, so make sure you send me that, Ebony. I don't know if that was included. I will add it to the description here.
Okay.
But send me that information. Anything that you already sent me, I've included. But review the description. Her information will be there. Make sure you reach out. Make sure you all take a moment to celebrate Rare Disease Day. It's not something that's very commonly, like, a lot of people don't know about it. So feel free to Google Rare Disease Day and throw that up on your Facebook or your Instagram, because the more people that know about it, the more these children can get treated. Normally, you find out about rare disease during childhood. So the more these children can get treated, so they're not like us, where, like, my son wasn't diagnosed until like 7. Ebony's daughter wasn't, well, you could say she was diagnosed, but she didn't receive any information about it until she ended up in the ER.
Mm-hmm.
So, definitely do that. I always tell people, if you have a rare disorder, not Google it, look it up on Facebook. There may be a Facebook group. If there's not, create one, because the
Yes.
same way you're looking for information and you're looking to compare, other people are too. With my son's diagnosis, KIF1A, we have a Facebook group and the families are very amazing. I've learned so much comparing our life and their life.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Ebony, for coming
Thank
and sharing
you.
your story. And again, y'all make sure y'all like and subscribe. Share this video for someone you feel like may need that. Hey, Patsy. And let's get the word out so we can get more treatment. And y'all, I have not been to Merida, but I'm pretty sure Ebony is going to have me out there in Merida so we can see what it's about. It's that heat that's running me away, but
Don't worry about the heat. Don't worry about the heat. Like, it's supposed to be hot on Wednesday and Thursday. It's supposed to be like 98. But hey, stay in the house until 6 o'clock. And then when 6 o'clock hit, then you go out to party, because that's when everybody comes out.
wow.
Believe me. That's if the Mexicans can come out at the time, we can too. So everybody come on. We would love to have you come to the retreat. We love to show you guys the hospitality and the spiritual life here, the ancestors here, the energy here. So definitely come out, you and your spouse, or you and your girlfriend, you and your son or your daughter. This is for men and women. So we don't discriminate. This is for men and women to get healing and to just set your intentions. Set your intentions for 7 days.
I love that. Oh, and don't forget, you said solo travelers can come as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
If you don't want to bring nobody but yourself, and you just want to get all the energy and the love from us, now keep in mind, we are with you for 7 days. So you will
Okay.
see this lovely face
So
for
you will
7
not
days.
be alone.
You will
All
not
right.
be alone. You would
Well,
not
I
believe.
love that. Y'all make sure y'all hit up Ebony, find out more about that information. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, that video is gonna come out next month. I think it's gonna, I mean, I learned so much.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much, Ebony. Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for having
for
me.
being
You're
here.
doing an awesome job. You are
Thank
doing an awesome
you.
job. You are
Thank
doing
you
an awesome
so
job.
much.
So yes, thank you everybody for chatting in.
All right. Well, we'll talk to y'all later. Have a great Sunday.
Yes, fabulous.
Ciao.
Bye everyone.
Mm.
They saying bye.